Hello, welcome to the Voice Den session 4. As Emerson says, happy Wednesday, everybody. Good to see you all here. If you can hear me, I want to do a quick little check here. Make sure you can give me a little thumbs up, a virtual thumbs up, or say you can hear me, something like that, just so I know that you are all here in the den and you are ready to have a good time and some fun. All right, let's get this party started. Before we get anywhere, though, I want to know, as I usually want to know, who is new here? If you are new here in the den, let's hear it. I want to see this. We've got, well, I see lots and lots of friends here. Come on, I want to know who's new here. And when we can see who's new, here's even a better way. I always like to do a poll, right? Let's do a poll. Is this your first time in the den? You'll see down at the bottom, there's a little area where you can click on poll. No, we got a lot of repeat people here to start off. Oh, we got some people that are new. Yes, we got some new people. Robert, awesome. Who else? Well, one of our voicefluencers, Dr. Patel, Rupal Patel, awesome. Erica, noob here. Chris, she's Joanne. Oh, I can't keep up with it. There's so many. First time, Andre. Oh, yeah. we got a lot of the voicefluencers are new this time around. Alan, yeah, you're new. And there's a poll. Theo says, be nice, please. Everybody, be nice. Be nice. Bradley, first time in the den. All right. Look at that. When you look at the poll, actually, we're for the people that have answered the poll, we're about split, almost 50-50. Pretty good. All right. So I'm really excited to have you all on here. And also, I'd love to know, where is everybody located? So if you haven't already shared, I know some of you were sharing where you are before we even got started here, which is great. But let's just type in there where you are, because it's really interesting to see how spread out we are around the world. And something like this can bring everybody together. So that is amazing. Okay. While you are doing that, we have some housekeeping stuff to take care of, and we have some big introductions to do. So let's get on with the introductions, and I want to tell you a little bit about who you all are going to get a chance to speak with today. You're going to get to be on the hot seat, and you are going to get to speak with the 5 incredible voicefluencers that we have here today in the Voice Den. And so let's get to it. I'm going to give you their bios. I'm going to give you their little photo, and then I'm going to bring them up here in just a little bit and get them to say hi to you so that you can see them in the flesh, so to speak. All right, here we go. So the first person that we have is the VUI Queen, VUI Queen, Lisa Falkson. And she is, I'm sure a lot of you know her, she is the senior VUI designer with Amazon. And here's a little bit about her. She is, boy, is she ever qualified. She's done a lot of stuff in voice. She's currently the senior VUI designer at Amazon. She's the editor and author of Ubiquitous Voice Essays from the Field, and she has over 15 years of industry and research experience, specializing in design, development, and deployment of natural speech and multimodal interfaces. Her most recent work includes next-generation voice user interfaces at NIO and CloudCar, as well as Amazon's first speech-enabled products, Fire TV, Fire Phone, and this little thing called Amazon Alexa. Oh, by the way, if you haven't muted your devices, do that. And oh no, I'm wearing my new Echo frames, and I just realized now my head is talking to me. So anyway, does anybody have the frames, by the way? They're really, this is my first day wearing the frames. And funny, okay, gotta interrupt this because it's a little funny story. I was out today walking the dog, and here's something that I just learned about the frames. I was speaking to my wife on the phone, but I didn't have any earbuds in. I didn't have any headphones with like a microphone. And I was walking down the street and people were walking by me, and I was talking to myself, and they were giving me these strange looks because I didn't have any buds or a microphone. But I mean, I was talking to my glasses. So anyway, but that's all right. Okay, let's move along. So anyway, it's great to have Lisa here. Incredible. All right. Captain Kaplan, Brandon Kaplan. You may know him from places such as the roasting of Brett Kinsella at Project Voice. I can't help it, Brandon. That's what I think of now when I think of you. I think of Project Voice and the roasting of Brett Kinsella. That's the way it's always going to be. He is the founder of Skilled, an emerging technology creative agency headquartered in New York. He's obsessed with technology, and he has been throughout his entire life. And he founded Skilled with a mission to bend emerging technologies creatively. I love that. They develop best-in-class voice experiences for Fortune 500 brands like Pepsi, HBO, Warner Music Group, Nutella, and they treat conversational interfaces as a true omni-channel platform ready to be leveraged by brands in order to drive engagement, conversation, and transactions. So he is a wealth of knowledge as well, and it's fantastic to have Brandon here as well. Theo, I met Theo first a couple of years ago. I think it was at the very first Voice Summit. Theo is the founder of Unconventional Ventures, otherwise known as Artoo, and we're going to have to ask you about that when you get on screen here, Theo. She is as I mentioned, the founder of Unconventional Ventures and the One Vision podcast host. She's an advisor, a public speaker, and a contributing writer for industry publications. And one of the things I really love about the work Theo does is she works really hard to create an inclusive society. She is an expert on emerging technologies, including voice and AI. And again, Theo, it is absolutely wonderful to have you part of the show. So thank you very much for being here. All right. Next up, we have Dr. Rupal Patel, otherwise known as, love this name, Notorious RP. She is the CEO of Vocal ID. And Vocal ID is a synthetic media company that creates unique vocal personalities for applications that talk. It's a spin-out from her lab at Northeastern University, where she's a tenured professor. She's a native of Canada, so you get bonus points right there, Rupal. She began her career as a speech clinician and subsequently earned her doctorate in speech science from the University of Toronto and postdoctoral training at MIT. She's an advocate for accessibility and ethical AI, and she's passionate about voice AI and its potential to unite us and build lasting relationships. So thank you so much, Rupal, for being here. And finally, last but not least, we have the open sorcerer, Mark Tucker. And for those of you that know Mark, you know, I've always said this, Mark is an extremely generous guy when it comes to just sharing his knowledge with people and helping people with their own voice applications. He's a senior architect voice technology at soar.com. He's an Alexa champion. He is a Bixby Premier developer, and he develops voice experiences for multiple platforms. He's the creator of Speech Markdown, an open source project that simplifies formatting of text-to-speech content. He's also a contributor to the Jovo framework, as well as a creator of the GitHub organizations, Ask Community, and Jovo Community. Besides the voice apps he creates for work, you can also find his personal Alexa skills and Bixby capsules published under Shazaml Design. I hope I said that right, Mark. You can correct me if I didn't. So some of those include Number Spies, Picture Guesser, Serve More, and those are just naming a few. So, wow, this is quite a lineup. And what I want to do is just take a few moments here and bring each of you up on screen to say hi to everybody. And then we are going to get going here. So let's invite some of these people up here. All right. This is where it gets interesting. For those of you that have been here before, I need to do a little bit of juggling and invite people up. And we're just going to do that right now. So you bear with us here just a few seconds. And we will have the first three up here. And then we'll bring up a couple more here in a moment. All right. Here we go. Brandon.
What's up?
Hey. All right. Great to see you, Brandon. There's Lisa. And I think we have Theo jumping on here as well at the moment. There we go. So great to have you all here. Brandon, tell us something interesting about you. I know you had the name Captain Kaplan, and you were born on the 4th of July. We're Captain Kaplan. Well, I mean, the Kaplan part, the Kaplan part is, I guess, obvious, but Captain Kaplan, why did you come up with that name?
I think I came up with that name because I felt like I had 30 seconds to get a name back to you. Quick one. And upon reflection, I think it's really easy for individuals to get passionate about voice. Like everyone in this chat is passionate about voice, but I think one of the things I'm most proud of is that we have a team of people that have become really passionate about voice. So I'm really happy to be like captaining a ship of voice people. It's pretty cool.
Amazing. There's a little bit of a theme here actually with Captain and Artoo. down there. Artoo, at least you're on the lower quadrant there from where I am when I say down there. But Theo, welcome. You got to explain Artoo. Some people may know, but come on.
Come on, if you know Star Wars, you do. I brought a little prop here. So R2D2, I love Star Wars, in case you can't tell behind what we have. And I have another prop. Cheers. I was told this after hours. We can do that.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. Who else has got a drink there? Cheers. Who else has got a drink there?
Cheers. This is a 12-year Yamasaki. So
nice.
It's a rough week.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you for being here, Theo. And Lisa, welcome.
I saw Emerson just noticed that there are these drums behind me. My husband is actually an amazing drummer. He's played since he was a kid, and he plays in a cover band. I do not play. I'm a very mediocre pianist. There's also a piano.
My mouth just dropped because you may or may not know. Some people may or may not know. I'm a drummer, and I have that same drum set.
Like you do know how crazy.
Yeah, not exactly the same model, but a very similar drum set.
Excellent.
So, I love it.
Anyways, so Vui Queen is which I totally regret the throwing out there, but like Brandon, I had little time to come up with anything. One of my colleagues, Adam Ellman, he was dubbed me that briefly on our chat list because I was doing so many talks. He's like, "Well, what about the Queen of Vui over here, Lisa?" And so that's just the first thing that popped into my head. But now I have people who are working for me asking if they should be like the Vui Prince, Vui Princess, royal family. Like, when do you bring in the royalty of Vui to do your really important work?
It's up to the Queen, huh? You get to decide. So, right on. Well, thank you, all three of you, for being here. I'm going to, just the way this works, I'm going to bounce you off the screen. I'm going to bring up our other two Voicefluencers to say hi as well. And then we'll have you back up when we get some live people up here. All right?
Cool. See
you back. Thanks very much, guys. All right. So let's bring up a couple more people here. So let's bring up, we need Mark Tucker and we need Rupal. So let's as well. And Rupal, here we go. And here we are. Hello, welcome, Mark.
Hey, just me?
Rupal will be joining us here in just a sec, but why don't you start? Go ahead. Open Sourcerer. I love that. Tell us about that. Magic.
I don't know, like everybody, I was trying to figure out something that would help represent things that I care about. Open source software is something that I do spend a lot of time using and contributing financially and code-wise, plus promoting. So Open Sourcerer it is. Just why I've got a chance. Everybody, thank you for being part of the voice community. You're awesome. Everybody is just helping everybody else out. This is great. So thanks for being here.
Wonderful. Well said, Mark. Well said. And Dr. Rupal Patel, thank you so much for being here. Say hi. Tell us about your name. I love it.
Thanks for having me, Teri. This is awesome. The name, well, we were making a voice for a particular Notorious rapper. And from that, it kind of stuck that why not, and actually people, so there was a sign that I got for my birthday last year that said Notorious RP, and I've taken it on. So,
I love it.
Pretty fun.
Very, very cool. That's amazing. Okay. Well, that is wonderful. And again, thank you both of you for being here. This is we've got an incredible lineup with the five of you here. So really, really excited about it.
Yeah, thanks, Teri.
My pleasure. Now, okay, so I'm going to bounce you two off. I'm just going to explain how this works, and then we're going to get people on here just momentarily to start asking you guys some questions, okay? All right. So for those of you that have been here before, you know the way this works. You know the drill. For those of you that are new, at the bottom of the screen, somewhere, this may be mirror image, but somewhere right about here, you're going to see a button or a text that says ask a question. There's already 4 questions there that have been asked. This is your chance to ask a question of these Voicefluencers. You type in your question. If you can direct your question to a particular person, that's fantastic, because then we're going to bring them on screen to answer your question. And here's the fun part. Everybody else can click on the questions that interest them the most and vote on them in that box, in that question box. And then we are going to bring on those that ask essentially the most popular questions that people are really curious about, to have a live discussion with the Voicefluencers. You will also know, if you've been here before, that we like to make this a little bit more fun, and it would just be too easy if it was an open discussion. So we're putting up a 5-minute countdown timer on each discussion. And when that timer is done, the discussion is done. All right. So with that said, I'm going to have a look here at the questions. And it looks like right now we've got Ray asking, what features of voice devices have you found useful in your working from home offices? Okay, you didn't necessarily direct that to anybody in particular, so I may pick a couple people, unless, Ray, you want to comment and who you'd like to have on screen. In the meantime, I am going to invite you on screen so that you're going to get a little invitation from me to come on the screen. And by the way, if you do want to come on screen and you're not sure if your camera is going to be working, this is a link that you can use to make sure that your camera is working, okay? Hello, Ray, welcome. It's great to have you here.
Thanks. It's great to be here again.
Was there anybody in particular you wanted to direct that to, or do you want me to invite 2 people up on screen to answer that?
I didn't have anyone particular in mind, so I'll leave it to you.
So let's bring up a couple people. Again, the question was, what features of voice devices have you found working from your home office? I think I'm going to bring up Brandon and Lisa for these ones. So let's do that. Let me bring you guys back up on screen here. Brandon and Lisa. And then we're going to have a little 5-minute talk and see what kind of insights they can give you on that. Ray, while they're coming up on screen, do you want to just give us a quick intro to who you are, maybe?
Sure. So I'm an IT program manager. I've been in IT for over 30 years. I work in the Toronto area. I'm particularly interested now in new and emerging technologies, and I've taken an interest in the voice space. So what I'm using a lot, I have a lot of Amazon devices, and I use them all over my house, predominantly for entertainment or, outside of work type of uses. But I've used very little of them in work, either in workplace or now, like most people, I'm working from home. So I'm really interested in if people have been able to integrate this into their work from home voice technology, and what are the barriers to that, what could be done, and if there's anything out there people really thought of would be really great to have but just isn't out there yet. I'm just wondering how it can take the next step.
Do you want to take that, Lisa, first?
Sure. Yeah, I'll get started. So, I'm a little biased. Obviously, I'm an Amazon person. I have Echoes all over my house. And I worked for a year and a half specifically on Alexa communications. And so I don't know if you guys saw some announcements. Zoom is coming to the Echo platform, the Echo family of devices. So there's going to be a lot of conference capability. That's something, the group calling aspect is something that really has been missing. And I think that's going to help a lot. I use it for announcements because, frankly, I'm tired of shouting at my son who's always on the other side of the house. And so if I want to broadcast something to the entire house, I announce it via home. The other thing is, and I think this is a big thing for folks who have elderly relatives, a lot of them are in full quarantine. My mom is 81. She lives alone in San Francisco. My dad passed away, so she's alone. And one thing I do is I have drop-in set up for her. And sometimes I get worried if I can't reach her on her phone because she doesn't always hear it, or it's hooked up to her hearing aid, but hearing battery died or something like that. And so 2 things drop-in does is it instantly connects. She doesn't have to answer. So it instantly connects and I can see, but it also has presence detection. So if someone gives you drop-in permissions, you can see if they've been recently present and using the device. And that way I can know, like I can just glance and I'll say recently active mom's house. I'm like, oh, she's been using the Echo and she's around, and I don't get worried. So those kinds of things. I haven't used it for a ton of business applications other than I just, check how my folks are doing in Seattle. I check the weather up there, things like that. But I think that Zoom is going to be a big factor. And I did see someone, Emerson, ask in the chat, will there be more A for B? I do see a lot of potential for Alexa for business use cases. And I can't talk about the specific things that I know are being worked on, but it's definitely in the horizon that you're going to see more Alexa for business in the coming years.
Awesome. Brandon, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think from like a a quarantine perspective, it seems like on most of our calls, voice has been used to trigger other people's devices and torture them during conference calls. That's happening a lot.
False winks.
Oh yeah, I've your devices. I've spent part of my quarantine with some nieces and nephews, so I used voice as a distraction mechanism. So I've bought a lot of devices in a lot of rooms to help nieces and nephews keep busy, and then from like a business perspective, I think routines is one of the things that people really underutilize. Routines gets used for very simple things, but we'll do something like we'll add one of our skills to a routine so that every morning I can test an experience to make sure it's like always being tested, or to set up different functionalities that we want to put on a routine. So routines is kind of like a really easy move. And then other basic functionalities, things like calculator if we're working on numbers, or just asking questions. A lot of what we do is trying to like figure out the voice SEO elements of voice. Where can you kind of crack that? So we do a lot of kind of voice searching for different things and seeing what does Alexa and the Google Assistant answer well and answer poorly. And that gives us an idea of where there's market opportunities. But yeah, same as Lisa. I don't think that we've been using voice for some like grand enterprise functionality, but that is part of the future for sure.
Yeah,
those are great answers. Thanks so much, and I love the glasses, Terry. I want to get the frame.
Okay, I'm glad you like them. I'm still getting used to them. They seem pretty good so far, but
They look good. They look good.
Thanks. They're very light, actually. This is not a sales pitch for Electro Frame. They are
That's
very
fine.
Anyway, that is time. So thank you very much, everybody on the screen. That was great. That was a great opening question. So we are going to get somebody else up here. See ya. All right. Wonderful. Great start. Okay. I'm just looking at the comments here. Sarah, you said you've got 20 plus. Is that 20 plus questions? I'm not sure what you're referring to there, but that's... Anyway, what you'll explain. All right, let's get to the next question here. Here we go. The next question that gets a lot of votes is from Ian Utility. Ian's a repeat offender here. He's always got really popular questions, really thoughtful questions. So here we go. This one is, how could you imagine voice tech being helpful for elections? All right, well, let's bring on, I'm going to bring on a couple of people here.
Everybody.
Let's bring on Theo and Rupal, and let's have a little chat about this. So here we go. Theo and Rupal. Hi there, Ian.
Hi, Terry. Good
How's
to
it
see
going?
you. Wonderful, as always.
Good. For a couple people that don't know you, do you want to just give us a quick 10-second intro? Who are you, Ian?
I am a father. I have two little boys, 8 and 11. I live in a treehouse, and I start companies. It's very fun.
That pretty much sums it up. For those of you that know Ian, that's absolutely accurate. So there you go. Oh, before I do anything, I got to reset the timer here. You don't get away easy just because you're Ian. All right, there we go. All right, 5 minutes on the clock. So Ian, let's great question. Do you want to just kind of ask that again as I start the timer, and we'll get some input?
Yeah, well, it's wonderful to meet both of you. Thank you so much for being here as a Voicefluencer. I'm excited to learn from you, as everybody else is. I asked two questions. One was, what do you envision voice tech doing for elections in the future? So a couple things that come to my mind are voting, or access to debates, or politicians posting policies, or people being able to learn policies. So I gave a couple examples, but I'd love to just get some insight from the two of you. And what might politics, how might it be impacted moving forward with voice tech?
Who would like to start? It's up.
Tough question.
Really? Go ahead.
I think well, I need to think about my answer so I don't get like hate mail later. But I think for the first thing that comes to mind is access to information, right? Because there is so much information out there. I think what we suffer is not a lack of information, it's too much, and then we don't know exactly which source is a credible source. So where I see technology is to be able to help us decipher through everything that's out there, and to be able to help us get to what we need to much easier and faster. That's at least the first thing that comes to mind. What do you think?
Sure, that's great.
Yeah, I think one thing I thought about was understanding or getting a sense of when politicians are being more like sentiment analysis, and listening to their voice, like what they're saying, but and also what they're not saying, which I think would be interesting meters. Although that I think that, lie detection is not necessarily a fail-proof kind of enterprise. The other thing, though, I feel like is that often people don't, and this is kind of good and bad in some ways, people don't really investigate and think about who they're going to vote for with all the different kinds of issues that you're wrestling with. And so there's platforms, every politician has all these various different things that they're running on. Well, how can you figure out what you care about and have, like, which politician is really going to give you the access that you need for the things that you care about? And I think their personalized messages would be really interesting. So you're asking questions and then responding back in the way that kind of brings together those various different areas. And I think AI and voice would be really interesting there. I definitely think that in terms of voting, we, even in this country, we have so many people that are not literate. And having even the candidates that are on the ticket be voiced out loud to you and you say yay or nay for those, huge advantage. I read something the other day where they said 500,000 votes that have already been submitted right now have been disqualified or don't count because they're somehow wrong. And I don't even know what that wrong is. And you fill in a bubble. So what did they do wrong? Who knows, right? Like, following the instructions that are up on there and then filling out those bubbles, if we can assist that, it'd be great. I think not only for people who are not literate, but also people who have disabilities. The disability can be a small disability. Like, I can't see very well these days and still don't wear my eyeglasses. Yesterday I filled in like something for takeout I had, and then later looked at the receipt and I went, oh my gosh, it was $10 more than I filled out the value for. They'll fix it. But I think little things like that matter, and voice it's like another channel there.
Yeah. Well, I'm very interested for everybody that's in the chat window on the politic thing, because I've been meeting with Congress people and senators and all sorts of folks that lead our nation about some of my intentions around politics in the next 4 years in terms of voice tech. So I would love to hear people's input. I asked one other question, so let me just fire that off because it's a pretty easy answer most likely. If you could have any two well-known executives in the world join you to launch a new voice tech venture or a new voice tech application, who might you be interested in working with, and maybe why, if we have enough time for that?
You think that's easy?
Sorry, go ahead, Rupal. Either one. Theo?
No, maybe not easy. But
That's
it's just
not
throwing out two
easy.
names.
That's hard. That is really,
That is
really
hard.
hard.
The good news is you only have 20 seconds to answer it.
Okay, since I'm Notorious RP, I'm going to bring back someone from the dead. I'd want Steve Jobs.
Ah, yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I want
Ultimate
Steve
UI
Jobs
person.
and Brad Smith from Microsoft. I want to have the vision, but I also want to have the ability to think about a bigger, wider society on rural areas, for example.
Yeah.
There you go. Wonderful.
Well, thank you for answering my questions. It was nice to meet both of you.
Wonderful. Great question. Thank you very much. All right. So now we are going to move along. That was a great discussion. That's such a big topic, right? You could, as you were speaking to, maybe I should have left Rupal on there for a second, but Rupal's company makes synthetic voices. So it also made me start thinking, like, what if a politician had a synthetic voice? Can that be used for good? But could it also be used for bad? Interesting topic there. Anyway, all right, let's go back to the questions and see what we've got here next. So we've got a question for Mark. This is a technical question. Perfect. All right. Is there a benefit using SDKs versus? Okay, so we're going to invite Saeed on screen, and we are going to get Mark on screen as well. So let's do that as well. Mark. Yes. And this is a little more of a technical question. I'm looking at our list of voicefluencers, and I'm wondering, maybe Lisa, you could provide some input into this one as well. Let's bring Lisa back on.
Hey there, Mark.
Hey,
All
Syed,
right.
how are you doing?
Hi there.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, great. Thanks for giving me a dev question. I appreciate that so much.
Let me bring Lisa back on, but while I'm doing that, why don't you just introduce yourself again? I know you've been on here before, but they're new people, and quick introduction to who you are.
All right. So my name is Syed, and I am a full stack developer / cloud solutions architect. Love working on voice-based applications, especially Alexa. I've been working with Alexa since day one when it came to India. And now I have also ventured into Google Actions and Bixby. I just love the prospects that voice brings and love to be a part of this community. So thank you so much for having me here.
Wonderful. All right, the question, let's go. Do you want to ask it again of Mark, and then you guys can have a chat?
Yes. So Mark, I have been following Jovo very closely, but haven't really had an opportunity to work with Jovo firsthand because, when I started, there was not a lot of things like Jovo present. So I just used to use the request response, not even the SDKs I'm talking about, not the Node.js, not the Python. I just used to use the request response a lot. But then I moved on to the Node.js SDKs, and I just wanted to know, is there a benefit to using open source SDKs versus Amazon's own? Since you want to explore other technologies, is there really a benefit, or how bad is the learning curve? That's that kind of a thing.
Okay, so great question. So I've been doing Alexa development for right around 4 years now. That was the first platform, and then added Google Assistant and then Bixby just more recently. So I've been through a lot of different things. For those who don't know, behind the scenes, and the short of it is that you have some webhook, which is an HTTPS endpoint. You get a JSON request in, you do some things, and you send a JSON response back. So the JSON payload in and out is different for Alexa than for Google and for other things. You totally could just do a webhook and code against that. But frameworks are just so much easier. I started using the Alexa Skills Kit SDK version 1, and then had to rewrite everything for version 2 when they changed that over, been through version 1, 2, and now 3 of Jovo, and have been using Jovo for last 2+ years. Very easy to use. The learning curve isn't that great. The features, when a new feature comes out, the Jovo team is awesome about getting those features out quickly. But I like being able to code my handlers in one way and be able to reuse that for probably 70-80% of the cases that I have. But then I get to also test and see if this is specifically Alexa or Google or now Bixby, and get to do some different specific things for the platform. It just makes things a lot easier. The deployment's a lot easier. I can deploy everything. I do Node.js, and so I deploy everything to a Lambda and put an API gateway in front of it for Bixby and Google, and just run everything out of AWS. So it's been great. They have a great local debugging. They have a marketplace of all of these different plugins that open source developers. I've created some, and that's part of what the Jovo community is about. Is creating these plugins and also be able to use plugins that others have created. So I'm a big fan, obviously, of Jovo. I'm going to keep using it.
Yeah, and Mark's the open sourcerer, so he would know more about this. I used the very first version of the Alexa Skills Kit. I remember when it first came out. I actually wasn't at Amazon. I was between my two tours at Amazon, so I left for a while and then I came back. But yeah, I do think that one thing I've seen, which is impressive, is sort of growth of tools and services around using things like the Skills Kit and things for creating Google Actions. I think there's this whole new middle layer of companies that are creating things that are more like write once, run anywhere. The only thing is sometimes there are different capabilities of the different platforms, and so you do have to be aware. Like, for example, one thing might work better on Echo platform versus Google platform, and sometimes when you design for both or write for both, you have to sort of do the lowest common denominator if you want everything to be exactly the same. I don't know, Mark, if you've experienced that. but yeah, I do think like Jovo I'm a huge fan of Jovo, having, followed the founders and their evolution since the beginning. And I just think that any tools like that where it saves you work, like this whole rewriting thing that Mark is talking about, any way that you can avoid that is kind of in your best interest for scaling and for the future. So yeah, big fan of those tool sets.
Yeah, and just so even if it's something that I'm doing for a client and they're wanting just Alexa to start off with, I do it in Jovo because invariably they're going to come back. It's happened enough times before that they want something in a different platform. Just a quick plug for Speech Markdown. It's open source. If you're using SSML or speech synthesis markup language, soon you'll discover that it's not cross-platform. There's different flavors for each platform. That's the problem that Speech Markdown is trying to solve, and that's why I created it.
Cool. Yay, Mark.
Hey, Teri, you're on mute. Teri's on mute.
Sorry,
can't hear you.
there we go. I didn't the conversation. I have to admit, I said great conversation, but I have to admit, I think I understood about 3 words in that last 5 minutes.
It's a very technical one. It was a technical question.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. It's great to have Mark here to be able to answer that, because if I was a developer, I'm sure I would have understood at least more than 30 words.
I basically was just like, what he said. Yeah. What he said.
That's amazing.
Teri, just one pointer is that, I heard about Jovo from Adam Shayer, who I heard sadly had to leave Samsung in the last voice den. And that's how I started learning about Jovo. And that's how I got to know about Mark. And, it's such an interesting space that once you build for one voice platform, you can really take it to other platforms, right? But sad to know that Adam had to leave. He had such a huge role in Samsung. But thank you so much for answering the question, guys. It was lovely to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, Saeed. Thank you for being part of this again. All right, good.
I'm a waiver. Bye.
Lisa, this next question is geared directly towards you. So I'm going to keep you on screen.
Okay.
I'm going to see you soon, Mark. And I think I'm going to bring Brandon on for this next one as well, because I'm interested in his take on this. But Robert, it's your question that we're going to address here.
Okay. It's RJB.
And so let me invite you on screen. Make sure that we're doing that here. Okay. And I want to bring Brandon back on as well. So there we go. All right. Hey,
Robert.
How's it going?
Long time.
All right.
Yeah. Why don't you give us the quick lowdown? Who are you, Robert?
For sure. So my name is Robert. Used to work for a company called VoiceXP. During the pandemic, I joined a company called Plaid. You basically use Plaid to connect your bank account to lots of different fintech apps. And I'm on the sales team there. So super happy to be back in the voice world.
Amazing. All right. So what's your question?
For sure. So the question is about Alexa for apps. Basically, for anyone who doesn't know, Alexa for apps enables you to use Alexa to do what you would do with your thumbs, with your voice throughout lots of different apps like Twitter and TikTok and Uber. And my understanding of why Amazon made this decision is that Amazon wants Alexa to be wherever consumers are, not just on Amazon devices. They want people to get used to using Alexa for different use cases like searching and just doing other things within apps. So my question for you, Lisa, is as we move potentially from this world where the smartphone is the default go-to device to a world where we're interacting with lots of different devices, number one, is it Amazon's vision for the voice first world to not be dependent on the smartphone? And if you can't speak directly to that roadmap, I'd love to just kind of hear your personal take on, is the smartphone going to continue being the default device that we use to do everything, even in a voice first world?
Yeah, so this is a great question. Adam Chires, someone just mentioned him a minute ago. When he last time I heard him speak, said, the market penetration of the Echo devices and the Google devices is high, but it's still nowhere near kind of the penetration and ownership of the smartphone. And I think that's true, but I don't think anyone would have anticipated that Alexa would be, as much of a household name as something like Siri, and seeing that the phone, and I having worked on a failed phone, as you know, the Amazon Fire phone, years ago. I think of them as two very different things. And I think that having voice, I think that the screen is immersive. I think the phone is meant to be an immersive device. And I think that it is meant to be near field, and you're meant to be holding it or, touching it. And what the accessories do, so even though they do still rely on the connection of the phone, what the accessories do is like the frames or other accessories like the buds, is they allow you some distance to that phone, which is immersive. And so I think the phone is still important in that it can, when you're not home connected to Wi-Fi, that you need some way of being connected, right? And the phone will provide that for you. But I think the accessories themselves will become more important. I see the frames and the buds and things like that being very important. I do see speech on the phone as kind of necessary. The other thing I'm very interested in is like small form factor. Like, when will we have more local recognition versus cloud-based? And I think some of that has already started. I know in some of the statistical language models can be compiled in the cloud, but then downloaded via OTA onto devices. And so I think we're also going to see a lot more hybrid sort of local and cloud-based recognition. And that's going to shift kind of what form factor we have for the devices we use. I don't think it's necessary for Amazon to have their own phone in order to dominate. I think they have already shown they have been the primary voice assistant on several phones that have come out, LG phones and things like that. And so I think that yes, Amazon obviously wants to be everywhere, ubiquitous, I would say, but it's not necessarily like that it has to be in the phone. I think it can be separated from the phone. I think it can be accessory, maybe somewhat slightly dependent on the phone. And I'll leave 1 minute for Brandon to chime in. Sorry, I
Interested in your perspective, Brandon. Just from
Cool. Yeah, no, this is a topic that we're like obsessed with, because we've always said that voice doesn't live on an island. It needs to be like a touch point in the user journey. And even in my intro, it's like voice is omni-channel. So we get really excited about quick links. So now I can hyperlink into a voice experience. I can go from a voice experience into a mobile application. I can take the passage from that quick link into the experience and maybe pixel somebody and now be socially retargeting them. So when we work with clients, we say voice is a channel, but it's also a user interface.
Yep.
So it's a really important touch point in a full kind of consumer journey. So we like to think about what are the entry points into voice, what is the experience in voice, and then what are the exit points for voice. So in short, yes.
And Brandon gets the last word.
Thank you, guys.
That's a really good topic. I know there's been a lot of discussion about that on Twitter and so on. So, great question. Thank you, both of you, for your answers. Fantastic. All right. Okay. So let's. I'm gonna say goodbye to the two of you just for a bit here, and let's have a look at our questions and see where we're going next. Okay, good. We got a perfect one here for Theo. With this is from Heidi. How is voice AI evolving in banking and fintech? Okay, so we're going to invite Heidi on screen. And then I need to come over here and let's get Theo on screen. Here we go. And Rupal, interesting to hear your take on this. Have you have any experience with sort of banking or fintech with the type of work that you're doing as well? So Heidi, I'm not sure if we're able to connect with you. If not, then we'll just do our best to answer it without you on screen. But if you can, fantastic.
There.
Oh, there she is.
There
Hi,
I go.
Heidi. Hello. Welcome.
Welcome to everybody. Hello to everybody.
Why don't you take it's so nice to see you, Heidi. I haven't seen you in a long time. Can you
I know.
introduce yourself to everybody here for those that don't know you?
I am
Who
Heidi.
does not know Heidi? Everyone knows Heidi.
I'm Heidi Culberton, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, fair enough.
Been doing voice for 5 years, since November 14. when the Echo device came out, been in emerging tech for 20-something years. Know a lot of the folks here and happy to be here. And thanks for taking my question.
Wonderful. Well, what is your question, Heidi?
My question was directed to Theo specifically, but anyone can answer, of course. And I've known Theo for a while. So I know that Theo talks to startups globally, is an expert in fintech, banking, amongst other things, AI. So what are you seeing on the voice front for that type of interface for those industries and those solutions in the up and coming ecosystem?
That is a loaded question.
It is. I did it on purpose.
So it stays here because you probably know my answer. I haven't seen anything useful with voice and banking yet. We don't need Alexa to tell us how much money we have spent in Starbucks last month. That's not useful. I don't need it to check my account balance, for example, giving me a routing number so that I can go grab a piece of paper and a pen to write down all of the digits. That's not useful. I think what could be useful, what make it useful is it can do things for me that I cannot do right now, right? So tell me I need to, let's say, open an account, right? That's notoriously difficult at the moment. I've done one a year ago with a large global bank, and it took me 3 weeks and 3 trips to the branch. So if we can do onboarding with voice, that will be useful. Say, I need to open an account, I need to do XYZ, and boom, 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 done. That would be nice. Or to say, hey, I have an upcoming X coming up, and you can interact with voice, and it can help you sort out all of your finances across multiple households. Because you know me, I like to look at intergeneration things. Like, hey, my kids are 10 years old right now, and in a few years, we're going to be like sending them to college. What is it that I need to do? All of those things, if it can guide me through those experiences, that will be useful. But then that will also bring up security and privacy aspects, because nobody wants to do that over the phone when everyone can hear you.
Great. Rupal, have you had sort of experience with your work in terms of fintech and voice?
We have.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Were you asking me? Were you asking?
Yeah, go ahead, Rupal. We hear your thoughts on this.
Sure. Yeah, we had some experience with a couple of large banks a couple of years ago who were interested in testing their voice authentication systems with synthetic voice. So they wanted to see if the synthetic voices could break in through their voice authentication systems for individuals that they had enrolled into their system. And we were showing that we could do that. And one of the big things was really thinking about so when we went to the other banks and we said, we've got a way to test your system, and we also actually have a countermeasure to assess for every voice call that comes through, whether it's synthetic or real, based on multiple different kinds of technologies. What we got back after 8 months of knocking our heads against the wall was that voice fraud wasn't high enough yet. But I do think that is something that will change. One of the things I think that where we're going to see some engagement here is in conversation AI on the go in terms of payment. So can you make payments from things like your phone your watch or other ways? Because that could be interesting. And I'll just again, to the whole accessibility angle, is that literacy is such a big thing about finance, like financial literacy, and also just literacy in general. When you're filling out these bank forms, most of the times you have no idea what you're reading because it's so complicated. So if we can simplify that language and deliver it to people who are trying to make a loan payment or getting a loan out, and they understand that better, I feel like that's a contribution. It's not just voice, it's a voice and language combination that could be really useful. And I think there are many things along those lines. And what, Theo, you were saying about intergenerational literacy, it'd be awesome to start teaching kids about savings and what happens when, if you don't buy this, you buy that, and how you can, accumulate a savings account. So I think that voice is a really interesting channel that way because it's multi-dimensional in that way.
Yeah, I think the other challenge that I have, and that might be personal too, is it doesn't do recognition well yet. I'm looking at the clock.
We're waiting for it. I think I was a second or two behind. There we go.
Thank you both.
Thank you, Heidi, for the question. Thank you both. That was just in the 5 minutes. Those were really good answers. I really enjoyed that discussion. It's almost like we need more time, but that's part of the fun of this. Is we get 5 minutes, we got to move on. So,
Thank you both.
Thank you both for that, and thank you, Heidi, for the question. All right. Okay, so let's. I think we're gonna do one more question here, and then we've got a couple of wrap-up announcements for you. So let's have a look here. And James, all right, James. I don't know if I can invite you on screen though, James. It's a good question though. It seems to be okay. What we're gonna do then is I'm going to bring up Mark and Brandon. I want to get you two up for this one, and then we can just get you to answer the question here. We'll read out the question. So let's invite Mark. And that's fine. I gotta find you again on here, Brandon. A little bit of the juggling around here again. There you are. Let's invite you on screen. And let me just see if I'm able. I'm not sure if I can get you up on screen here, James, or not. It doesn't give me that option for you. So that's okay. I will read out the question and let these two gentlemen tackle it. Okay, so let's reset the timer. And the question is, how voice first or voice only do you see for future products and applications? I'm voice biased, but the more I interact with customers, the more I see that most people are multimodal. Mark, you want to take a stab at that first?
Sure. So definitely when you're writing these voice experiences, voice apps, you want to have it be a voice only or a voice first experience. Make sure that it's solid with voice, and then you can layer in additional modalities, which typically means a smart display, different screens, but it could mean sending out texts, or it could mean interacting with gadgets or some other way. But if you don't have a solid voice first interface, then it devolves into, I'm just making a bigger, app on my tablet that's voice enabled, or a web app that I layer in voice secondly, and it loses a lot of the, I guess, potential benefits if you approach it the opposite way. So voice first, and then layer in multimodality.
Yeah, I think this actually ties back to the prior question in where do you use voice and where do you not use voice. And for us, we think a lot about, they always say that you offload your consciousness to whatever tool you're using at the time, right? So we went from, I used to have to pull an encyclopedia off the bookshelf to do a report. And then I went to my computer with an AOL CD, and then I went to internet, and then I got a mobile device, and then I moved everything to my mobile device. And we always ask people now, if you have a voice assistant in your house, how often do you pull your phone out to check the weather or to set a timer? And the answer is always, I don't at all, because you've moved that utility over into voice, but it has to fit. There's a lot of things we still don't do with voice, and we will take our phones out for. So when we think about voice, it's got to be a use case that is fitting for the voice platform, that has enough functionality and features out there to make it useful. And then to Mark's point, we think about, now how do we make it, omni-channel? And that in the future, I think almost every interaction could have some voice touch point, but it doesn't mean that it's a voice only or it's a voice first. Voice can fit anywhere up and down, kind of like the user journey. And it could be an entry point, an exit point. It could be a touch point, whatever that may be. And then it's thinking about how voice becomes an interesting piece of your experience. But obviously, we're really bullish on voice. That's why this is what we do. And I think that everyone in this group is trying to figure out what the future of voice is and invent those really eye-opening use cases. So I think it's an exciting time to be here, but voice first will be a major thing, but it won't be the only thing.
Yeah, and if you look at some certain things, voice doesn't do really well right now. If you want to get somebody's name and have it be exactly the way that the person spells the name, that's hard to do in voice. If you think about like a quiz, filling in your name, that's something that's probably not very easy to do in voice. Short answer, true and false, multiple choice questions, they work great in voice. But then when you start to get essay questions, longer answers, those are really hard to do in voice today on these voice assistant platforms. So if you think about what information you need, you might need to put in a separate modality to get the input that you need in order to then have a more immersive voice experience.
Yeah, we think about, there's like this interesting data point that we'll use with clients where it's, mobile web traffic has now become, in a lot of instances, the majority of traffic. However, mobile converts purchases 40% worse than web. So you might have more web traffic to your mobile, but you're actually converting less sales. So that's an instance where mobile was the right modality for people to want to interact, but it was the wrong modality for your kind of conversion point that you wanted. So I think we've got to think about, where does voice fit naturally into the experience of someone's, I keep saying, user journey? And then where are the limitations today that you need to not depend on voice and you need to push them to another modality to finish? Things like link to app, or grabbing someone's phone number and texting them, or contact permissions, or calling out a website to go to. So yeah, we got to be strategic about it.
Great.
Yeah.
Anything else to add, either of you? That's great. Great discussion.
The visual aspect is, I've been doing, there's lots of different iterations all the way from cards to the original display templates to now APL if you're doing Alexa, or interactive canvas if you're doing Google. But there are a lot of things that you can do with the display that a quick look does help and add to the experience.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you very much, both of you. Great answers. James, thank you for the question. Awesome.
Yep.
And I think that's going to wrap up the questions for today. Time, as it always does, time flies.
Already.
A lot of fun. I know. Already. Boom. We're at the hour.
Treehouse already. The crowd is chanting for it.
Give me your feedback. I'll talk about that in a moment. I'm going to be asking for some feedback. Maybe we have to extend this because we seem to fly by. But what I want to do now is thank you, both of you. Mark, Brandon, thank you very much for your participation here. I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I'm going to go through a couple of announcements here. First of all, as you will know, leading up to this session of the Voice Den, we were giving away the NFT collectible Voicefluencer cards. And what we have some business to take care of. These have been created in partnership with Ian Utility of Attention Live. I'm going to just show you who the winners are for this week. And then I'm going to bring Ian on to discuss what we're doing for session number 5. So for starters here, let me bring up some information about some winners, some business to take care of here. Okay, so here we go. As you will know, we were giving away a whole bunch of Voicefluencer cards this time around. And the winners, here we go. We've got 32 winners. All of these people that you're seeing on the screen right now are going to each be receiving 2 cards, one from each of session 1 and this session, session 4. So all of these people that you see here, congrats to all of you, and thanks for participating in the contest. All right, so those are leading us up to number 4, and now we get to third place. Third place is going to get a set of 5 cards. And the third place person is going to get the set of 5 cards from the session that the second place person doesn't pick. The second place person gets first choice of their 5 cards. So third place, Moises Rodriguez Hernandez, and I think you are on here. So congratulations. I believe you're on here. So fantastic. Second place. This was a really close race, by the way. This one was really, really close. It came down to the last day. Second place is, that was a little bit of Richard Robinson. So Richard, if you are on here, let me know which set you'd like from session 1 or session 4. Otherwise, I will contact you. And the first place winner is going to get the entire set, the 10 cards that you see here. And that is first place, Dana Gibson. Congratulations. And I know you asked one of the very first questions in the very first session of the Voice Den. So thank you for being part of this all the way through. Wonderful. So Dana, congratulations. All right. Now I want to bring on Ian just to talk a little bit about session 5 and what the plan is for these NFT cards. So Ian, let me find you and bring you on screen. Here we are. Okay.
Welcome to the treehouse, everybody.
There's the treehouse. All right. Awesome.
We have
Awesome.
made it to the treehouse. This is the treehouse. So, people want to see the treehouse? This is it. All right. For the announcement, are you ready, Terry? For me to
Let's
tell
do
them.
it. Tell them what's going on for session number 5.
NFTs. These collectible cards we're giving away stands for non-fungible token. Now, if you look at the news, the last 3 months since we first announced the NFTs, the NFT market has absolutely exploded. I'd say it's at least 10x in the last 90 days. So if you're interested, I just go to Google, type in NFT. What we're doing is we've given away all these one-of-one NFT cards. It means that every single card that we make for each Voicefluencer is a one-of-one card. We make a few different copies with different colors, different names for each of them. So they're all a one-of-one collectible. We've given them away for the first 4 sessions through a contest the last 2 months. And this time, we are not going to do the contest as we have done. We instead want to give all of the NFTs for the next session 5, to those that are in the chat window. And so we feel as though there's so much energy and happiness and wisdom and fun and enthusiasm and connectivity happening in this chat window that would be the most appropriate place to be giving away these NFTs for session 5. We want to see how the community responds to us doing it that way rather than us do a traditional Twitter contest. We also have some big announcements that we'll be making over the course of the next couple months of what people can do with these NFTs. But I'm very grateful that we can create these, get these into your hands. I think you'll look back at this time and think, wow, it was very forward thinking of Teri to create this opportunity for us to integrate this new technology of creating collectibles out of these digital scarce assets. So that is my announcement.
Wonderful. Thank you. That perfectly said, Ian. Not much, I don't have anything to add to that. So that is the plan. Those involved in the Voice Den session 5 will be receiving those NFTs. Details to follow about how you will actually get access to them. But thank you, Ian, for that announcement and for joining us here.
Yeah.
All right. So finally, I have a very special announcement. Well, 2 more special announcements. There's always announcements here on the Voice Den. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so here we go. The next thing that we need to do, next order of business, is we need to meet the Voicefluencers for session number 5. And so here we are. You ready? Let's have a look at this. There you go. Oh, so excited about that lineup too. So hopefully you will join us for that one. and you can actually sign up for that right now. Let me give you the link. If you want to sign up. Hold up. Here we go. There's the link for that one. But don't go anywhere just yet, because I have another announcement. That session, Voice Session 5, as you saw, is going to be taking place September 23rd. For those of you that have been here with us since the beginning, you know that we're doing these on a monthly basis. So we've got the September 23rd one. We have an October one coming up, which will be session 6. And then in November, session 7 is a very, very special session. And what I want to tell you is that there is something that is going on November 14th. And you will hear more details about this in the coming months, really. But this is a Saturday, November 14th. This is going to be the day of that session. And the reason I'm telling you now is because it is going to be the Voice Den party. Save the date, Saturday, November 14th. It is a special edition of the Voice Den party edition. We are celebrating something. We are going to have all kinds of festivities, surprises, prizes, etc. So this is also just an open invitation to anyone. I want to have as many partners as possible to celebrate the Voice Den. If you are part of this community and you are having fun and you see the value in this, whether you are an individual, whether you are a company, if you have something big to offer, if you have something small to offer, if you want to provide a service, if you want to provide a prize, if you want to provide a sponsorship, whatever you want to do, if you've got some creative ideas, this is going to be a big event, which is why I am telling you about it right now, 3 months in advance. We are planning it right now. Ian and I have been discussing this. We are going to be doing special things with the NFTs, which are going to be launched at that particular event as well. This is going to be a big event. So I think that's everything that I have to say. Are you going to play drums at the party? Some people are already getting some, okay, well, I'm not going to say anything yet. All right. So anyway, that's the party. It's going to be awesome. I hope you will join us there at the party. But before then, we've got September 23rd, session 5 with an amazing lineup. So be there for that one as well. If you didn't see it, we have a Discord channel. This is the link to the Discord channel right here. I'll put it in one more time. Please join us there. Another thing, if you want to provide some feedback, that would be absolutely wonderful. And I'm going to give you a link to that. It's an opportunity also, if you've got some ideas about this party edition, to give me those ideas. And if you want to actually sign up now for the party, the website is available. And you can go to this link. This is the one to the Voice Den party. And you can actually reserve your seat right now as well. So I think that's everything that I have to tell you. I want to thank all of the Voicefluencers, all 5 of you, for coming on the show today and making it what it is. Thank you to all of you for participating, asking your questions, being a part of this community, being part of the Voice Den. It is so incredible to be able to connect like this when we are so physically far apart. But it's so much fun for me to bring this to you, and I hope that you enjoy it as well. I'm going to leave you with these final credits. Thank you, and we're going to see you next month.
Thank you.